To conclude this chapter, I thought it would be good just to spend a few minutes highlighting some of the extra features that can be found on the Substance to 3ds Max plugin, features that we haven't really touched on yet. And so, with the Material Editor and Floor tabs open, let's double-click to load up the Substance parameters and take a look in the Substance Package Browser rollout, where you may or may not have already noticed that we have this Selected Graph option, which currently contains the 0,1 wood floor graph that we have been working with. You can see as I access the drop-down though that we actually have two graphs in here from which we could choose, and if I opt for the Tile Floor option, you can see that we do indeed now get a tiled floor in the scene, something that becomes really obvious if we go ahead and take a render. Now, in this instance, we only have two graphs in the archive, but we could just as easily have a whole collection of flooring types waiting to be used, something that would certainly go a long way towards giving the final texturing artist a much wider range of options with which to work. So, whilst having multiple graphs open inside a single Substance Designer package has never been a problem for that application, the brilliant thing now is that on publishing a .sbsar file, we can have those multiple graphs easily be accessed right here inside 3ds Max. Another nice feature that can be demonstrated if I just go back to our wood floor and then tweak a few of the exposed parameters that we have, so nothing specific, just some random changes, is the fact that we have these handy Reset to Default buttons at the side of each slider, which you can see, as I click through them, do indeed reset the changes I just made, making it really easy for us to feel comfortable with the idea of experimenting with our texture setup, seeing as we have this nice safety net waiting to be used. In fact, on the theme of variation, one way in which we could make good use of this reset functionality would be in connection with creating presets, which is another option that we have available in the Substance to 3ds Max plugin, found, strangely enough, in the Substance Presets rollout, with the controls being fairly obvious from their button titles. Again, let's tweak some of the settings that we have here. And then, should we decide that we may want to use this particular configuration again at some point, we can just hit the Create Preset button, give the preset a name, and we're good to go, meaning we can reset everything back to default now, try some more experimentation, and then save out another preset if we like. Anytime we want to go back to the settings used in a created preset, all we have to do is double-click it in the list, and in it loads, which is brilliant. Now, whilst presets are saved with the 3ds Max file, meaning we can use them anytime we reopen this Max scene, they won't be accessible should we load this same Substance archive into a new 3ds Max scene, which is why we also have export and import options that will write and read preset files to and from any storage drives that we want to use. One final piece of time-saving functionality that we can highlight here is the fact that we also have the ability to batch import .sbsar files from the Substance settings menu. If I go to that and then click on the Batch Import option, we get an Open Substance dialog that, when we navigate to the Substance folders in our exercise files download, shows all of the .sbsar files that we have available to load. Of course, in this instance, we only have one, but if it were that we had 20 or more substances needing to come into our scene, we can see how this option would be a massive time saver for us. Do be aware though that these import to the tab that we currently have open in our Material Editor, and they don't always come in side by side, so we may need to use the navigator pane in order to figure out just where they have gone.